Great. Hello, everybody. We're doing another live stream of our progress with the cross-stitch pattern, Spiderman and Venom. This is a pattern that I created custom. So it's like a one-of-a-kind. Like there's other similar patterns of these exact sprites, but this is a custom made from me. Scratch. So but yeah, we'll see. We're almost to 2,000 stitches. I don't know if we'll reach 2,000 stitches tonight, but we might get pretty close. But as always, tonight we'll be streaming for about an hour. We'll see how far we can get with the cross stitching, and then for those of you that are on Twitch, we'll be switching over to 2xko. For those of you that are on YouTube, I'll be switching to a different channel, play some 2xko, talk about the new reveal, the new character reveal, and all that stuff. So I'll hold off and talk about that in the second hour of Pretzel 2. Hello, welcome in, welcome in. Family's doing well. We thought my son had the flu this morning because he was like throwing up and stuff, but by the afternoon, I guess he felt better. So I don't know if he had the flu or just had a stomach bug or had ate something that didn't really agree with him. I have no idea, but he seems to be doing better. So I was watching it. But I saw everything that I wanted to see anyway. I mainly wanted to see what they were going to do with 2xko, and I also wanted to see if 2xko was going to win Fighting Game of the Year or whatever category it was. Which it didn't win. It didn't win the Fighting Game category, but they also had a new trailer that they had in the Game Awards. But yeah. Have they announced the Game of the Year? No, not yet. That's not till like the very end of the show. But I was watching it, but yeah, I don't feel like I have to know I don't have to know who wins live right as it happens. I can always just go back and see all the winners stuff later from some like website that basically consolidates all the winners onto like one nice page. But the 2xko information, that was the most important thing. Like, that was the most interesting part for me. I've been playing that game a lot, and I'm just really into that game because they were supposed to reveal the next playable character that'll be coming to the game in January. So not gonna say who it is right now because we'll just save that for when we're playing the actual game. But the playable character, yeah, they be out till January. So when they that probably around the same time they release the console versions of the fighting game. So getting into the Game Awards, they asked what people think was gonna win Game of the Year, and then which one do they want to win. I don't even know what the nominees are for the Game of the Year. Because I don't even think Expedition 33 was one of the nominees for Game of the Year. the top pick in both. But see, I thought Expedition. Yeah, I thought Clair Obscure Expedition 33 wasn't in there. Thought it wasn't nominated, but maybe it was. And Game of the Year nominees. Game Awards Game of the Year: Hollow Knight Silk Song, Death Stranding 2, Clair Obscure, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and then Hades 2. Out of all those games, Game Awards Game of the Year, maybe it has a good chance. I'm not sure. It might have a good chance. I highly doubt Donkey Kong Bonanza will come close to winning. Hades 2 might have a chance, and then Death Stranding 2 might have a chance. I'm not really that familiar with the Kingdom Come games, so yeah, I don't know what the popularity is of that. But yeah, Clair Obscure is definitely... A lot of people want to see the Clair Obscure win. My camera not working? My camera's not working. What the heck? Why is my camera not working? That would be nice to know that my camera wasn't even working, because we've been stitching this whole time. I've been stitching this whole time and the camera wasn't even working. What the heck, man? There, now we're back in business. How much did all the string cost? Well, there's 35 colors. 35 colors. I think most of them only need one skein. The 35 different skeins. 35 skeins times... most places you can get a skein of floss for less than $1, to like 60 cents to 70 cents times 35. So it's like under 30, well, it's less than $35 for all the floss. And then the fabric cost me like 20 some bucks, I think. 20 or 30 bucks for the fabric too. So all in is probably close to 60. HD Skywalker, hello. Yes, we did start this. We did start the project. The picture above me is what it's going to look like in the end. And we're trying to work our way towards 2,000 stitches. This is 18 count. The fabric is 18 count. This was custom dyed by a shop that I found online. And for a while there, I was just waiting for the fabric to come in, and then once I had the fabric, then I needed to I needed the motivation to get started. Total stitch count is 46,745. So it's not like my biggest project I've ever made. The biggest project I've made was like 127,000. That was the Zelda map that I did. That I have framed and hanging on my wall behind me. I don't think you can see it in the camera view, but my full camera view you'd be able to see it, but railroad every stitch you do. For the most part, yeah. I like railroading when it's when there's rows of stitches. I don't like stitching one stitch at a time. Railroading also kind of helps save on the floss too. Or oh no, wait. Railroading is when you stick the needle between the two threads, right? Wonders what the biggest project anyone has ever completed solo. I forget. It's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Pretty sure there's a Guinness Book of World Record piece of of the piece that someone made by themselves. I think it was a piece of The Last Supper. He made a portion of The Last Supper painting, I believe, if I remember correctly. When you split the thread with your needle, yeah. So I railroad the top stitch. The bottom stitch, I don't bother railroading the bottom stitch, just the top stitch. Just finished your second project yesterday. It was a Christmas gift for your dad. Nice. What was the theme of the project? Google AI says the biggest solo project was 1,111,396. Took 10 years to finish. Railroading the bottom's pretty pointless. Yeah. I didn't like. I just started doing that on my own. Like I didn't bother looking online to see what the best practice was. It just made sense that the top part of the stitch is what you mostly see, so even if the bottom part of the stitch gets twisted a little bit, it's not going to be the end of the world. You can only see a little bit of that. Is the shape of Iowa filled in with the American... Wait. Oh, it's the shape of Iowa filled in with the American flag. Full coverage. Nice. Very cool. A lot of solid colors, I would imagine. A lot of red, a lot of white, a lot of blue. Did you actually stitch the white, or did you have white fabric and just left it as open fabric? I mean, it might be accurate. Pretzel 2. Let me, largest cross stitch made by a single person. Largest cross stitch by a single person's replica Battle of Grunwald. Assuming that's the one that you're talking about. Doesn't say how many stitches, but it does say that it took 10 years to make. World's largest published cross-stitch pattern. Oh, the world's largest cross-stitch pattern, published cross-stitch pattern, was the less than one epic Pokemon patterns, which I guess was, so that one it says is 628,296. World's largest by a single person. Why does it keep saying 1.6? Oh, wait. Less than one epic. Oh, so they're comparing it. They're comparing it to. Oh, I see. They're comparing it to the size of this epic Pokemon pattern that's like really massive. Yeah, so this was the one I was talking about. 1,111,396. Where he made a portion of the Last Supper. Largest cross-stitch by a single person with a replica part of the Last Supper by Da Vinci. Took him 10 years. 48 kilometers of thread. World's largest cross-stitch period is 7,897,840. Had 50 sections. I forget how big the piece is that I wanted to make. Let me see if I can find that image real quick and I can do the math. Because mine was like 6,000 something by 600. Felt like I was flying that last month. You did 6,800 in 4 weeks. Wow, that's crazy. Sorry if my stream looks like it's choppy. I'm trying to open up. Let's see. Smash Bros. My Smash Bros. Idea project would have been. Let's see. I scaled it down to 680 all. It was 3,672 by 680. So mine would still not be the largest cross-stitch piece ever created, but 3672 times 680, 3672 times 680, 2,496,960 stitches. If you're curious, this is what I was talking about. Let me show you guys. Some of you know about this and some of you don't. Let's see, monitor 2. Yeah, this bad boy right here. This was the one I had. I wanted to create this in a cross-stitch pattern. So I wanted to recreate this whole thing on 18 count fabric. And I had the idea of doing it in sections. And I was also going to try to get people to assist in creating it section by section. And I still would love to do that. I would still love to do that. I just don't have the time to get it all set up. Kind of abstract flag, so kind of gave it some more interest than the stray flag. Posted on Reddit if you want to check it out. I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll check it out. I'll see if I can find it after I'm done streaming. But yeah, I would still want to create. I still would want to make that. project, and I know there's a lot of people that were interested in helping with that project, but then it kind of just died out because of the amount of planning that's involved with that project. Is kind of insane. I also had the idea of creating a website that people could use to track their progress, so that we would have like a website that would show, it could show overall progress of all the sections, and then if we were to blow up on social media and stuff, then people could go to the site and they could publicly see like how far along we were with the project. They could just like follow along and stuff. You've made your patterns and such, right? Some of them, yeah. So, my first cross stitch, the first project I worked on was the Legend of Zelda, uh, uh, Link to the Past overworld map. I did not make the pattern for that. I found it online, and then I just made it from the pattern. The second cross-stitch piece that I did, I made a custom pattern. It was of a Nintendo DS. More specifically, a Nintendo DSi XL. And it depicted a Pokemon battle from Pokemon Diamond. And I created that pattern from scratch, from using sprites directly from the game. And when I recreated the screens on the Nintendo DSi, it was pixel perfect. So whatever the game resolution is, that's what I did with my project. And I think I have in the scene that I'm currently in, I think this all for. Yeah, I think I have a picture of the final piece if you haven't seen it before. And then the project I'm working on right now, I made the pattern for, and then I made a pattern for Ryu from Street Fighter. Have a good night, Pretzel 2. We'll see you later. At least we're near the end here. My thread is kind of getting a little frayed. Love to get into making some of your own patterns too. I use the software I use to make my patterns. Let's see here. I use WinStitch to make my patterns. But a lot of times what I will, like for this project here, like I go above and beyond when it comes to picking out the colors for the pattern. Like I went through and I manually chose all of the threads based on all the different colors, all the different pixel colors. So I took the picture, I extracted all of the colors that are used in the picture. I created like these blocks of color that were big blocks of color, and then I printed it out on glossy photo paper so that the colors would be close to what it would be, to what would match the thread. And then I was manually holding up the skeins and all of that stuff. I watched some of your past streams videos where you were doing your color theory and color choices. Thought was super smart. Yeah, it is time consuming, especially if you have a lot of colors to choose from. And I was very indecisive at times too. But I think, and I'm hopeful, that the colors that I chose will have it turn out real nice. Obviously, the camera that I'm using, I think, oversaturates things a little bit. So the color I'm working on right now on camera looks brighter than what it does in person. Everything looks brighter than what it does in person. And I think it's just because the Pixel phones, the Google Pixel phones have a tendency to take the video feed and really pump up the contrast for some reason. Like they must do like post-processing on the video that's being captured. Just shows how much you care about it. Your Ryu piece turned out so clean. I can only imagine how great this one is going to be. It's probably about, I think it's a little smaller than Ryu, but I'm gonna guess that it's gonna be pretty close to the same in size. The Ryu one might be a little bit taller. I still need to get the Ryu piece framed, so yeah, I still need to get the Ryu piece framed. All right, I'm gonna mark off the row that I just finished. I'm marking that off. We got 4 more rows of this length. Am I at a good distance away, or do you guys think I'm too far away? But do you need me to zoom in, you think? Darn cat hair. Can't get away from it. How do I like to start and end my threads? So to start my threads, because I'm just doing 2, or well, I do the loop start because it's 2 threads, basically 1 thread that's folded, so I'm able to do the loop start. I like doing that because it's just an easy way to start the thread, and then when I end the thread, I just basically feed it underneath. I just feed it underneath stitches in the back. I don't like tie a knot or anything like that. I just feed it through the back, and that seems to hold my stitches pretty well. And then even when I was doing 3 strands, I would do a loop start that was also, so the way I learned, I guess, or I saw someone show me how to do it, you basically do a loop with 2 of the strands, and then you have your 3rd strand that has like a small tail on it. And then you feed all 3. You do your loop start like you normally do, and then you just stitch over top of the tail. Needle brand preference. I think I'm just using DMC. I think I'm just using needles from DMC. I just get whatever they have at Michael's, or, well, Joann Fabric's not around anymore in my area. They like closed down and everything. So Michael's is pretty much like, as far as like a common store you can get stuff, that has a good selection of threads and things. Michael's seems to be the place to go now. But I know Walmart has stuff. It's just they don't have like a... I don't think they have every color. Usually when you go to Michael's or a place like that, like you get access to most of the colors, if not all the colors that are currently available. But I know Walmart, I think, has more of a smaller selection. I figured that my camera messed up, huh? I can't... Alright, I have a knot that I made here that I need to... Now I need to... pull that through till I get to where I left off, so... Hobby Lobby near you, usually pretty well stocked with... Do they have DMC stuff? Or is Hobby Lobby like other brand, like less expensive brand? Hope this doesn't butcher up my thread. Make the stitches look ugly. Dude, gonna get annoying. Definitely gonna get annoying. The fact that my charging cable is in the way. They carry DMC. I'm assuming it's their fill lineup. Got some variegated to try at some point. I think I have... I don't know if I have any of their variegated thread. Like, I know I had gotten a bunch of thread last year from my family members. This is like just random colors and stuff. For a while there, I got really obsessed with like trying to buy all the available colors. Whenever I needed to get thread for a project, I would always buy like 10 or 15 additional colors because it's just so cheap anyway. I got a good amount of the colors, but a lot of the higher numbers, that's all I have left to get, where I have at least one skein of those colors. But yeah, it's like the 3,000 numbers that I actually, it might even be like anything above like 800 is where I start missing out on some. I feel like variegated would be very hard to work with, and obviously you can only stitch a specific way, right? How would you normally stitch variegated? Not sure how many I have made. Maybe like 200-ish colors. Need to log it in a spreadsheet. I have an app on my phone that I can use to track what colors I have. Highly doubt it's up to date, but that's what I would use. Like whenever I would go buy thread, I would use that app to see what colors I still needed. Watch a couple videos, but just might need to try and test it out. I feel like with variegated, you would almost have to do it a certain way. Because the color, obviously, if you want that variegated effect to look correct, I would almost think you'd have to stitch... You'd have to plan it out. Because if you do it row by row like I'm doing, each row would look different. Instead of the whole piece being variegated properly. Almost makes you wonder if you have to do each row with, like, the beginning would be the same color. So, like, if the variegation is the same length and then it repeats and is the same length and repeats, same length, repeats, it would be like you'd almost have to cut strands where all the strands are basically start to end, where the variegation is, and then it's like you start each row. Yeah, it depends on the pattern, I guess. Yeah, but like if you wanted it to be like a smooth gradient from right to left or left to right, you would have to you'd have to stitch one stitch at a time. And you would almost have to stitch one row per thread. Or if you want it to go down, if you want the variegation to go down, or even at like a diagonal, like I guess you could do it diagonally too. Again, I don't know. I just don't know. I've never done variegation. I've never really looked into it to see what kind of planning has to go into it to make it so that it looks nice. Might have time to get 2 more rows done after this, or our hour is up, or we switch to Vidya Games. Railroading the stitches does seem to slow me down a little bit, because sometimes I'm not able to get the thread or get the needle through the threads as easily. I'm sure there's a technique I'm sure there's a technique out there that I could learn that makes it easier to railroad the stitches. And I'm sure the more I do it, the faster I'm going to get too. Been a while since I've done cross stitching just in general. It took me a little bit to get back into the groove. Felt like I was just going really slow motion when I started working on this project. Initially, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was like, should I just do all the black stitches? And then I was like, well, no, I'll work top to bottom. And I'll do so much of a certain color. Then I'll go back to the top, do the next big color section, and then kind of work my way down to the smallest of the colors, so that the top gets filled in as we work our way down. Then we can see sections of the piece just getting fully filled in. We can better gauge like how this thing is turning out. Not that it matters, because even if I feel like it's not turning out very well, I'm going to just keep working on it anyway, because there's no point in starting over. I have this project on like the special dyed fabric and everything, so we're doing this thing. When I was in the process of figuring out what pattern I wanted to do next, I was looking at all different kinds of like fighting games. I was looking at sprites for different Mortal Kombat games, like the old classic Mortal Kombat games. I was looking at like their versus poses. They were pretty big. Like, if I were to do a pixel perfect recreation of one of their poses, the project was going to turn out like really big. But I was looking at all different kinds of sprites from like from Marvel versus Capcom, which is what this one is from. Spiderman and Venom, these are sprites from Marvel versus Capcom. I was looking at all the different sprites and stuff from a couple of the Marvel versus Capcom games to see what would be cool to make. And then trying to think what other games I was looking at. But that's what I try to focus on, is when I do cross stitch and stuff, it's usually like video game related, taking two hobbies I enjoy and combining them. And then also just making the custom patterns, like I really enjoy that too. I don't think I would ever get to a point where I would want to make a pattern and try to sell it, even though I'm sure people would want to buy the patterns that I make. With Ryu, I did have some people ask if I planned on distributing the pattern. And for a little while there, I almost was gonna create an Etsy shop so that I could sell the Ryu pattern, and maybe even this pattern that I have here too. Like, after I finish the project and I'm pleased with how it turns out, then I would take the pattern, I'd post it online, and then people could buy it. Might still do that, I don't know. Why am I railroading? I got in the habit of railroading. Because now it's like I'm enjoying 2XKO, the fighting game 2XKO, and I'm like, ooh, that would be a cool one to do. Try to take one of my favorite characters and do cross stitches of like maybe the character select icons. Would be pretty cool. Or even taking like their fighting stance and crop it and scale it down so it's not a massive size, and then convert that into a cross stitch. Because they're not like the shading on the characters isn't real crazy, because it's supposed to look like they would call it cell shading, but cell shading I guess would be similar to like animation style, art style. So the colors are more flat, even though there is some shading. But like when I go to make the pattern, I could even simplify the colors even more for the cross stitch pattern. Oh, and I started grabbing sprites from one of the newer Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle beat 'em up games called Shredder's Revenge. I was taking sprites from that game because I was like, oh, it'd be cool to create a cross-stitch pattern from these sprites, because the character sprites were smaller. A lot of the character select screen sprites were really cool looking too. Like I had thought about like taking all the playable character sprites from the character select screen and then just making like a really long version showing all of the characters you can play as. Never got around to finishing that one. I started prepping it in Photoshop, but never finished it, because I was gonna have it where it was like the photos, and then underneath each of the characters character select portraits, it was gonna have their names as well in the font that is used in the game. Pixel perfect again, obviously. If you haven't caught on, I like recreating stuff pixel perfect if possible. This one is not. This one I would say is like 95% pixel perfect. And the reasoning why I say that is because when I took the screenshot of these sprites to make them look the same as you would see them like on an arcade, I had to stretch them vertically so that they would be represented in more of like a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is what, or 5:4, whatever the arcade was originally. But by doing so, I found out some pretty neat little developer tricks that they did back in the day to try to be able to have more room in the game's memory to create more sprites, more graphics. And what they did was the original pixel art is like squished. the resolution of the actual game is like almost widescreen, but it presents the widescreen image in 4:3, so like it stretches it vertically, but at the same time, when everything is developed, everything when the graphics are loaded up in the game, like everything's running at that weird widescreen resolution. And then because it was a CRT monitor that they used on the arcade machine, they would just dial it in so that it would stretch the image to fill the height of the game, which then made the characters look all stretched out. But they would develop it in a way that when the image is stretched, the characters actually look like they're at the correct proportion. And if you were to look at it from the image, like the actual generated frame, everything would look squished without having them scale it. So I thought it was interesting. That's like how I learned that as I was trying to create this pattern and try to make it be as close to what you would see on an arcade machine and not how it is being outputted by the game itself. I had to do the same thing with Ryu too. So actually I knew about it before. I knew about it from Ryu because Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, I'm pretty sure, used similar hardware to Marvel vs. Capcom, and also had the weird image that was where the height was like shrunk to get more graphical fidelity, I guess you could say. Just having more variety, graphical variety, by creating the images in a squished format. Anyway, I stretched them, which adds additional stitches, obviously, and also required me to go through the image, at least with this one. I don't know if I cleaned it up on the Ryu one, because I don't think I really needed to worry about it too much. But on this project, when I stretched it, I noticed that there was just a lot of the details that kind of got lost in the when I scaled it up, scaled the height. I went through and just kind of cleaned up everything, made it look as good as I could, try to make it look as if it was not stretched by like cleaning up the details. So that's why I said this is like 90 to 95% pixel perfect from the original source sprites. Anyway, hope you enjoyed my rambling. Gonna need to get another thread to finish this row. And then when we're done with this row, I think we'll switch over to 2XKO. Try to get ourselves up to Platinum 3 in Ranked. If you're already on Twitch, you don't need to worry about going anywhere, because we're just going to seamlessly switch over. And then on YouTube, I'll be ending the stream and then starting a new stream over on my gaming channel, which is different from this channel. Try to remember to post a link to that so people from YouTube can just jump right over to that one if they want to continue to watch. They want to see me get my butt whooped in a fighting game. I'm getting better at the game. I'm not that great. I'm not the greatest. I'm surprised I'm even platinum. Some platinum players, they just destroy me, and then other platinum players are kind of at my level, or they might even be at a lesser level than me. But that could be nothing more than them trying to learn new characters too. Don't know why you would play ranked if you're trying to learn new characters. But right now I'm only focusing on 2 characters anyway. I only play a guy named Darius and then another guy named Warwick, which if you're familiar with League of Legends, you know immediately who those 2 characters are. If you watched the show Arcane, you would know, you would have heard of Warwick, even though in Arcane, Warwick is represented in a different way. Similar way, I should say. But Warwick is the, I guess you would call him a lycanthrope, werewolf type character. Someone that was human and then got changed into a wolf human hybrid due to like experiments and stuff, if I remember the lore correctly. And then in Arcane it's a little different, but how they did it with Arcane, he was made a hybrid to save his life, basically, in Arcane. They don't really call him... I don't know if they ever call him Warwick in the show. Closed captioning calls him Warwick, but I can't remember if I ever heard them actually call him Warwick in the show. Even the guy that, like, created him. I don't know if he called him Warwick. We got 3 rows done tonight. Obviously, if I went for another hour, we'd get 3 more rows done. But alas, I want to play 2xKO. So this is the last night of the week for my streaming schedule. But after tonight, we won't be back online streaming until Monday. And then obviously, when we get closer and closer to the Christmas and New Year's holidays, I'm actually taking off work for 2 weeks. So my streaming schedule during those 2 weeks might be a little different. I might actually try to stream during the day some days. I'm not working, where we'll do a variety of cross-stitching and video games then as well. It might even play other games during the day instead. We just recently picked up a Nintendo Switch 2, so I've got a couple games on there that I can stream. Nothing too crazy, but anyhow. Alright, we got another row done. We shall check to see what we are, where we are progress wise. Looks like we're at 1895, so we have 105 to go. 105 stitches to go. We just stitched 117. Our rate is 97 an hour, 97 stitches an hour. Not too bad. But yeah, 1,895 stitches out of a total of 46,745. So we are technically 4% complete at this point. So 4%, we're almost 5% complete. But yeah, it's coming along nicely. With this color here filling in the highlight, you can see the highlight in the image. You can kind of see like how it's going to work its way down here, and it's going to slowly reduce to shorter and shorter rows when I get further down. But obviously I'm getting close to where the black stitches end right here. So what I might do is switch back to black so I can fill in more of this black bar that goes down the middle. But yeah. All right, so for those of you on YouTube, if you're still chilling, hanging out, appreciate the time that you've spent with me this evening. Hope you enjoyed watching the creation of this and the conversation that we've been having throughout the night. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to the channel, Chadley's Creations. Going to be doing this for quite some time. You get to see the progress unfold day by day. I do work on this off stream as well, so there will be days where like I might get a good amount of progress done. When you tune in the next time, like you might see a good chunk already added prior to the stream. So not like I'm only doing this live on stream. But yeah, if you're interested in the gaming side of things, for those of you on YouTube, you can stop by to .com/Chadley. That'll get you to my gaming channel, and then you can subscribe to that if you want to catch me playing some games and stuff. People on Twitch, don't worry, don't go anywhere. I'm not leaving. We're just going to switch over to the 2XKO category before we start playing. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to end the stream here on the YouTube side. Thanks again, everybody. And thank you. Hope you're enjoying the progress thus far. See you later, everybody.